Hey everybody, Angie here, and welcome. We're going to be doing a somewhat more active session than we did last week, and we're going to do it in little rounds. And so for those of you guys familiar with the 5 Tibetans, we're going to be doing sort of a variation on that. If you've done the 5 Tibetans before, you know that there are 5 exercises, and all of these exercises are really conducive to yoga poses and sort of a fluid kind of Anusara type yoga where you're pulsing. And we work our way up to 21 repetitions when we do the 5 Tibetans. And typically with each exercise or each kind of movement, we would do that 21 movements before moving on to the next one. But for tonight, we're going to do it a little bit differently. And actually, like I said before, hey Kayla, welcome. Hey Cindy, welcome. We're going to be doing it in sets. So we're going to do 3 sets of 7. And we're going to take it all the way through those 5 different sort of flows, kind of vinyasas, if you will. And then after we finish one round, we'll kind of rest just a tad bit and then come to the second round and then come to the third round. And hopefully we have enough time. This is kind of an experiment. This is a practice that I often do when I only have about 40 minutes or so, maybe 30 minutes, because I am working on strengthening my entire body. I'm getting some really nice flexibility training as well. And it just kind of gives you a little formula that you can follow, especially in the mornings, like I said, when you don't have much time, or maybe when you just kind of want to go on a little program rather than thinking of what you'd like to do. This will just already be available for you. So we're going to start sitting down. And just find a comfortable sitting position, just to kind of get grounded and just to take a little bit of time to shift gears. I have my left leg in front of my right, just that I'm sitting in my non-dominant crossing to kind of undo a lot of the imbalances sitting with my dominant crossing, but you decide what you'd like to do. Bring the hands at the heart center. Namaste. So just allow yourself to settle into this sitting pose. Start checking in with the alignment of your body, feeling your sits bones reaching down into the ground, extending up through the midline of the body, reaching up through the crown of the head, like you're going to touch the ceiling. Or maybe if you're outside practicing tonight on this beautiful night, maybe you reach the crown of the head up toward the sky. And all the while, the shoulders are rolling open, the shoulder blades are sliding down the back body. And again, we're just rooting down into those sits bones, weight evenly distributed between both sides. And so just tuning into the breath, breathing into the nose, back out through the nose, as best you're able. And if you feel like your breath is way up in the chest, see if you can sort of send it down into the diaphragm, engaging that diaphragmatic breathing, that belly breath. And if you've never done that before, you just practice it by keeping the chest relatively level, no matter if you're inhaling or exhaling. And the navel, though, will move out as you breathe in and then back inward, slightly upward as you breathe out. A few more rounds like that. And then just start checking in with yourself mentally before we get moving, before we get yourself a little bit of time to take a mental break, to instead practice something really good for you that's going to help you reduce your stress. When we get on our yoga mat, we're practicing mindfulness as we're moving and stretching and strengthening the body, improving our balance. So maybe set an intention for your practice tonight. That intention could be as simple as, to engage in this session for self-care, or maybe it's something a little more involved, a little more complicated. You don't have to say it out loud, so it could be whatever you like. And then when you're ready, if the eyes are closed, you can go ahead and blink the eyes open. We're going to start on the hands and the knees. And so, have cushioning for your knees if you need an extra blanket, pillows, whatever, because we want to be comfortable here as we go into our first pulse. We're just going to warm up a little bit before we're moving into that first round of the 5 Tibetans. So let's start by pressing back into child's pose, resting the forehead either on the ground, or for some of us it might feel better to have the fists stacked, resting the forehead on the stacked fists. Wherever you are, just take some deep breath here. Feel the abdomen pressing into your thighs. And getting this nice little massaging, stimulating effect on the intestines. So coming back up to your hands and the knees. If you did take the knees out a little wider, just bring them back under the hips, and we're going to go straight into our dog tilt, into cow pose. So dropping the navel, extending through the spine, only slightly lifting the sits bones and the crown of the head, pulling the navel in, pushing through the hands, pressing through the knees, the tops of the feet as you round through the spine, cat tilting into scared cat pose. Back and forth, inhale dog tilt, exhale cat. And just keep that going, flowing with your rhythm of breath. Let's do this 2 more times. And once more. And then again, pressing back into that child's pose, resting. You might even have your arms down by your sides with the palms facing up. Just see what feels best to you. Maybe bring that intention that you set back to mind. And then extend the arms out in front of you if they're not already. Coming onto the hands and the knees. Curl the toes under. Send the hips up into downward facing dog here. Big breath in. We're going to inhale and lift the heels. Exhale, lower, and then lower the knees, but keep the toes on the ground as you walk your hands back toward your thighs. We're just going to make sure that the pinky toes are where they need to be. And let's see, you might be getting glared on, so I'm going to move. Yeah, that's better. Camera just a little bit. Hard to gauge with the sunset. And then after stretching the feet, I'll bring the hands back down to the ground, hands and knees. One more child's pose, pressing back. And then hands and knees again, curl the toes, send the hips up, start walking the feet toward the top of your mat. Inhale up partway, flatten your back, and then exhale into your fold. Inhale, sweep the arms out wide. Exhale, hands come to rest at the chest. All right, so good. Breathing here. Move the camera a little more, trying to avoid the sun. But I do want you to see what we're doing, because we're going to be standing up and doing our first Tibetan. If I can get my camera right. had it right, and then the sun had other plans for me. So standing up, we have two options for this first Tibetan. Option number one is we would just stand with our feet about hip width apart and have the arms out by our sides and just visiting each side, twisting to each side as the arms sort of swing, okay? So if you're prone to getting dizzy, then you're probably gonna wanna modify with this version, okay? Otherwise, we're going to spin and pivot. And the way that we do that is we would have our left foot forward and the right foot kind of back, because we're going to pivot on this left foot as we swing the right foot around, and that's how we're going to make a spin. So it'll take like 2 little movements to make your spin, arms out by your sides. We're going to spin to the left, and we're going to go for 7 rounds, or 7 spins rather. So here we go. Start spinning, either staying in place or following me. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then put the hands on the hips, and we're going to do 2 deep breaths in and out. And 1 more. Now spinning is really good for us mentally. It's good for the brain. It helps to strengthen the vestibular system, which helps with balance, but it also helps to bring the 2 sides of the brain together to work more effectively, more efficiently. So that's why we spin. Number 2, we're going to move into more of a core strengthening. And so we have 2 options for this as well. The first option we're going to have is our modified option, where the knees are bent. So we would inhale, and this is our starting position, but then exhale and lift up. The upper body and the knees come in as well. And then inhale, lower down. All right? Straight-legged version, inhale, starting position, we're lying flat. And then as we exhale, we lift the upper body up toward the legs. And then inhale and lower back down. Here we go. Choose your variation. Let's go 7. Inhale, start. Exhale on your exertion. Inhale, lower. Exhale, 2. Inhale, lower. Exhale, 3. Keep it going. Lower. Exhale, 4. So if you have a hard time breathing, then that means you need to just take a little rest and then pick it back up just whenever you kind of regain your breath. Last one, 7. And then slowly bringing yourself upright into a sitting position. We're just going to take a couple of deep breaths before we move on to the third movement. So inhaling, and then exhale. One more Ujjayi breath here. Number 3, you're probably most definitely going to want some extra padding for your knees on this next Tibetan, because we're going to be on our knees, standing knees here. So this is our third Tibetan. This is really similar to Ustrasthana, camel pose. And so we're going to either have the hands in the low part of the back with the fingers facing downward, or you could kind of scoop your hands underneath your bottom on both sides to sort of hold yourself there in place. And that pillow is a little small, so I'm actually going to cushion with a blanket, just so I have a little more surface area. You can be up on the toes or have the tops of the feet resting on the ground. That's totally up to you. I'm going to support my back here. So here we go for 7. You choose what works best for you. Inhale, pressing back. Make sure the knees stay in line with the hips, and we're pressing the hips forward into a cat tilt. And then exhale and tucking the chin without rounding through the spine. Inhale for 2. exhale, and tucking the chin. Keep this going. Inhale for 3, pressing those hips forward, and then exhale. Inhale for 4, and then exhale. Keep reaching your elbows back toward one another, keeping the shoulders rolled open as well. 2 more. Inhale, pressing forward, cat tilt. Exhale back. And last one. Inhale, pressing forward. Exhale. And back. Release the hands. And then take a seat. We'll do 2 more Ujjayi breath as I open up the door. As it's getting a little toasty in here. Inhaling. And then letting it go. Exhale. One more time. Ujjayi breath. And exhale. So before we come to the next Tibetan, we're just going to warm up the shoulders a bit. So we're going to do that by taking this left arm across the chest and just holding on to it with that right forearm. One more breath here. And then switching other side, that right arm across the chest, holding it steady, left arm. 3 breath here. If you have carpet for this next one, do the best you can. With that, you're probably going to have a good bit of friction. As you see, I'm going to come off of my mat, off of my blanket, because for this, I need a slick surface so that my hips can slide forward and back. And so you sit in Dandasana, our staff pose, and then hands are going to stay right here beside your hips, okay, fingers facing forward. And then with the feet, you might take a little bit of distance between the feet because the heels are basically going to stay where they are as well. We're just going to inhale, rock onto the soles of the feet, and for some of us, we're going to stay really low. That's our modification here. Some of us, though, may be able to lift those hips way up, cat tilting those hips upward, and then exhale, and notice I'm just sliding the hips back in between my hands and tucking my chin without rounding to the back, okay? So decide just how high you're going to lift your hips. That's what's going to kind of make the difference here. And here we go. Inhale for 1, exhale. Inhale, lift. Exhale, slide the hips in between the hands. Keep that going, lift. Really pressing through the hands, the fingers, the thumb pads in an effort to spread that weight out so you're not just dumping all the weight down into your wrists. 2 more here. And last one. Good. And then same thing, sitting up in Dandasana, 2 Ujjayi breath here. More. Good. All right, last exercise. So this round here, this first round will take the longest. The other round, since we know what we're doing, won't take quite as long. 2 options here on this last exercise. The first option, starting point, will be child's pose. And then from child's pose, we would just inhale into a modified knees down, upward facing dog. Your upward facing dog might have your hips lifted even higher. Okay, listen to your body. And then we would exhale back into that starting position, okay? That's your more gentle version. If you don't have any shoulder issues, wrist issues, you're pretty strong in your core, then you can try for the more challenging version, which is to simply start downward facing dog. And then notice how I keep my feet on the ground. I don't come onto the tops of the feet like you normally would for upward facing dog.
Inhaling, just lowering the hips, finding that upward facing dog, making sure you're not sinking down into the shoulders, and then exhale back. All right, so choose whichever variation, and let's go 7 of these. Inhale, lower down, exhale, and pressing back. Keeping that core activated no matter which version you have decided to go with is going to be key here in protecting your lower back. That's 3. Inhale. Exhale for 4. Inhale. Exhale for 5. Only 2 more. Inhale. Exhale for 6. And 1 more. Exhale for 7. Start walking the feet up toward the top of the mat. And then reach your arms out as you come upright. Hands to the chest. I'm just going to adjust a little bit because we're going to go right into our next set. And these sets will be, like I said, a lot faster. Or a good bit faster. I'm going to see if maybe I can keep from having to do adjustments here. I think the sun has gotten a little better. So come up to a standing position. And then decide if you're going to spin or if you're going to just kind of twist, standing in one direction. All right. So here we go. Following with me, or just twisting, standing still. So here we go. Arms out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2 breaths. And 1 more. Good. Go ahead and come down to your mat, lying down for that second movement. You can either keep the knees bent or we can have the legs extended. 7 here. Inhale to begin. Exhale, lift up. Inhale, lower. Remember, if you're bending the knees, it would look like this. Exhale, lifting up 2. Inhale, lower. Exhale, 3. Inhale, lower. Now, as the legs lift and we're breathing out, we're pulling that navel in. 4, 5, and 6. This position is really similar, 7, or really is sort of a restorative shoulder stand. We could have the legs against the wall here. We could have a block underneath the hips. But this is the yoga pose that this Tibetan mimics. Okay, lowering the feet down, rolling onto your side, and then pressing yourself up, seated upright to Ujjayi breath. 1 more. All right. So, standing knee, back bends that are really similar to our camel pose, Ustrasana. So placing the hands either into the small of the back, or you would be cupping underneath your buttocks like that. But I just find that this gives me the support that I need, and so I'm going to listen to that. All right, go with what works best for your body. Let's do 7 here. Inhale, press forward. Try not to poke your belly out, but instead press the pelvic bowl forward. Exhale, lower, and then inhale, pressing forward. Now, exhale. We tuck the chin, and that's a lock. It's an energy lock, or Jalandhara lock. Inhale, and then exhale, lock. And that's why we are tucking there. Inhale, 4. Exhale. Inhale, 5. Exhale. Just 2 more of these. I find this second Tibetan requires this third Tibetan rather requires the most patience. Good. And then here again, find a comfortable sitting position, taking 2 breaths before we move on to the inverted plank. One more breath. Inverted plank. Find that slick surface. If you haven't, hopefully you do. I've done this on carpet before, but you know, you kind of have a very warm booty at the end of that with all of the friction, so it's better to have a surface you can slide on. Remember, you don't have to lift your hips up super high, only to a position that's comfortable for you. But here we go. Inhaling, lift. Exhale, lower. And again, jaw under our lock at the throat. Inhale up. Exhale, chin toward the throat without rounding through the spine. Inhale, lift. Exhale. That's 3. 4. 5. 2 more. 6. And 7. Let's take just a few breaths here. Inhale. One more. And then that last Tibetan. So here again, we come back to our mats. And we're either going to start in child's pose or in downward facing dog. Remember, child's pose is here, and we would just inhale forward and exhale back, okay? That's our modification. If you're starting in downward facing dog, you can go with me. So here we go. Inhale forward, exhale back. Keep this going. Inhale. Exhale, reach. Core is going to be activated this entire time. Exhale back for 3. 4. Staying with your breath, so you're not holding your breath. You notice yourself holding the breath, that's an indicator to stop, take a little rest. 1 more. Then again, from downward facing dog, start walking the feet up toward the top of your mat. Inhale, sweep the arms out wide, coming up. Exhale, hands come to rest at the chest. All right, 2 breaths here, inhaling, and then exhale, let it go. 1 more time, inhaling, exhale, and let it go. I'm trying not to cut my head off, but I don't want to blind you guys with the sun. Last Tibetan. So, our last round. Here we go, spinning. Warrior standing and twisting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I didn't know more to grow on apparently. All right, 2 breaths here, hands on the hips, stabilize yourself. Exhale, let it go. 1 more breath. Exhale. Good. And then lying down so that we can do our second movement. That's core strengthening movement. We start from a reclined position. Inhale to begin. Exhale, either the legs are extended or the knees are bent. Inhale, lower. Exhale. Inhale, lower with control. Exhale, lift. That's 3, 4, 5, 2 more, 6, 7. And then we're going to do some roll-ups here. So rolling back, inhale as we roll up, exhale as we roll back. Stay off of the neck. And then coming all the way upright, taking 2 breaths here. And 1 more. On that home stretch, just a few more to go. Last round, standing knees for our camel pulses here. So again, I'm going to grab my blanket, one of them, for cushion. There's no shame in using our yoga props whenever we need to, okay? So if you have them, just use them. If you need them, hands to support yourself, however that needs to happen. And then as we inhale, we press those hips forward, reach the elbows towards one another, shoulders rolled open. Exhale, tucking the chin as we come back upright. 1. Inhale back. Exhale 2. Keep this going. Inhale back for 4. Cat tilting those hips forward. 3 more. And 2. Last 1. And just come into a resting position as we take 2 breaths before we move on to the next one. Only 2 more to go now. Find a slick surface for yourself. Come into staff pose, Dandasana, as our starting pose. Hands beside your hips. Feet are a little spaced apart. And then here we go. Inhale, lifting those hips, cat tilt. Exhale, slide them back in and lock the chin. Good. Inhale, up for 2. Exhale. Up for 3. Exhale. Up for 4. Exhale. 5. Exhale. 6. Exhale, and 7. Exhale. Again, just take a seat. This time, actually, let's sneak in a little bit of hamstring stretch. So extend this left leg out in front of you. The right foot is going to be on the inside, that left thigh. And we're just going to come into a nice, gentle forward fold, Janu Sirsasana fold. So inhale. And as we exhale, just folding over the leg. Do the best we can to keep the sits bones grounded. Breathing deeply into that left hamstring. One more breath. Use your hands to walk yourself back up safely. Same thing, other side. Right leg extends. We bring that left foot to the inside, the right thigh, inhale. And as we exhale, folding over that right leg. Just noticing the differences, if any, between one side and the other. And those differences are important to take note of because in your home practice, say this is your less flexible side, okay, which is the case for me. So my right side is my least flexible side, and so I know in my home practice when I'm stretching through my right hamstring, I need to hang out on this side a little bit longer than my other more flexible side, okay? Walking the hands back up. And then we're gonna come into our final Tibetan. So you're gonna want the mat for this so we don't slide. And this is the one where, remember, we either start in downward facing dog or in child's pose. It's totally your choice, either way. 7 here. Inhale, lower into your upward facing dog. Exhale, pressing back. Keep this going. Inhale, lower. Keep the shoulders activated, strong. Inhale, 3. Exhale, back. Inhale, 4. Exhale, back. 4 stays activated as well. Inhale, 5. Exhale, back. That's going to protect your lower back. 2 more. Last one. Big breath in. As the breath flows out, lower your knees and come back into a sitting position. Let's come into that non-dominant crossing. Again, just to sort of undo all the time that we've spent in our dominant crossing. We asked an awful lot of our wrists today. So let's just stretch the wrists a little bit, we'll start by circling the hands at the wrists in one direction and then in the other. And then just pull one hand back toward you with the other. Relax at the shoulders, make sure you're not holding any tension through your neck either. And then switch other side. We also asked, if I can talk, an awful lot of our shoulders. So maybe just give yourself a big hug here. And then as you do that, kind of keep hold of the hug while you pull the arms away from one another just a tad bit, just to broaden through the shoulders and get a nice upper back stretch. And then reach out, other arm stacks on top. And same thing, broaden those shoulders, get that nice upper back stretch here. Release the arms, take a big breath in. As the breath flows out, take your chin toward your chest. Inhale, roll your head to your right side. Exhale, chin to the chest. Inhale, roll your head to the left. Exhale, center. Right, keep the shoulders relaxed. Exhale, center. Inhale, left. And let's just visit each side once more. Good. And then tucking your chin. Inhale, lifting your head back upright. So let's come into a reclined position. And if you want a pillow or anything kind of close by for when it's time to move into Shavasana, then have that handy, have that close to you. So you don't have to sit back up to grab it. Hug the knees into the chest, rocking side to side. And we're just going to do a nice little recline twist before coming into Shavasana. So arms out by your sides. Exhale, bring the knees to your right side. Keep that left shoulder grounded. You might even turn your head and look toward your left side just to deepen that twist. You could bring your right hand to your outer left thigh. And then slowly bringing the head back to center if you did turn it, extending both arms. Have the hips, or the knees rather, come back to center. And then as you exhale, take your knees to your left side. Let your right shoulder stay grounded. You could either keep your head to center looking up, or you could turn your head to the right side in a gesture to remind the right shoulder to relax, to ground itself into the earth. And slowly bringing the head back to center, bringing the knees back to center, and just finding a comfortable position for yourself. If you have a little bit of kind of blank wall, free wall space, then remember you can always come into legs up the wall variation. This is a really great way to practice Shavasana, especially at night as we are settling down and getting ready to, eventually make our way to bedtime. That legs up the wall, we are in an inversion essentially, but we're in a restorative variation of that. So we're sort of in this restorative shoulder stand. So we're reaping the benefits of being upside down when we practice that without all the effort of shoulder stand. We can still relax in that position. And it's been known to, if practiced, with some regularity, about 10 minutes or so in the evening, it's been known to help folks that suffer with insomnia issues. It has also been reported to help folks who are struggling with cluster headaches. It helps to reduce stress. It helps to bring some pain relief to the lower back, because all those muscles surrounding that sacral area can let go and soften if they have the full support of the ground underneath it. So whatever position works best for you for your Shavasana, just find that now. And in whatever position you have chosen, whether you're lying down, corpse pose, or you're in that restorative shoulder stand or something else even, start to feel your way into the best alignment that you can muster in that pose. So no matter what pose you've chosen, we want to have balance between both sides of the body, symmetry. Think of your midline as sort of the center point, because that's really what it is. It's that midpoint, that midline where the spine lives. And you're going to try to arrange the sides of the body in a way that mirrors each side in reference to that midline. Okay? Making whatever adjustments you need to make that happen. Allowing the breath to flow freely. We've let go of that Ujjayi breathing. Just letting each breath happen on its own now. And of course, mentally we're practicing mindfulness. Each time we notice the mind wander, and we start to think about what has happened today or what we anticipate may happen tomorrow, well, that's not the present moment. When we are thinking about what happened earlier today, we are living in the past. When we're anticipating about what's going to happen tomorrow, we're living in the future. And neither one of those are where we need to be. Because if we spend all of our time living in the past or living in the future, we're not being present, we're not fully engaging in life, in this present moment, in these opportunities that we have in each moment. So if you're a visual person, to engage in this mindfulness practice, you could think of your thoughts that your brain houses as being sort of clouds in the sky, these thoughts. And imagine that you are able to somehow take and move up above those clouds and look down at them. Like you're moving up above the thoughts and looking down, observing them, witnessing them, so that you know immediately when you are not being present. You know immediately when you've become attached to a certain thought or image or whatever comes up for you, sound you might hear. When that happens, we just bring our awareness back to the present moment without any judgment, just acknowledgement, just an invitation. As always, if you would like to extend this Shavasana, then feel welcome to do so. That's the beauty of practicing this platform. I hope that one day we can all practice again together at the library. I did get some good news. And so if you're coming out of Shavasana and sitting up, just take your time coming out and doing that, coming to a sitting pose. If you're staying in Shavasana, stay right where you are. But either way, thank you guys so much for joining me. We'll be back next Monday at 6:30. Hope you have a restful evening and a wonderful week. Namaste. And just a little announcement. The good news is that tentatively, we have a date set for our Yoga Fest, for our 10th annual Yoga Fest. And it's going to be at the AMP this year. And I believe, like I said, tentatively, it's going to be October the 16th. But I'll be making those announcements via Facebook and everything once things get fully confirmed this week. So we'll be really excited. This will be our 10th one, you guys, and back at the AMP, back at our sort of home location for that. So I'm super excited, and I will keep you guys posted on all of that. All right, so have a great night, and namaste. Bye. Thanks, you guys, for joining.